Hi, we're back with another cognitive bias.
Ooh, cool. What's this one? Hey.
So cognitive bias, I want to just jump in on this for a minute because there's another word that applies, and it's heuristic. Heuristic is kind of I want to call it the umbrella that our cognitive biases and mental models fall under, because heuristic means mental shortcut. Okay, and so the cognitive biases are kind of an unconscious mental shortcut, whereas the mental models are a conscious, intentional mental shortcut. So with that, this is a heuristic, but it is truly a bias, and it is called confirmation bias, and we're all familiar with it.
We are?
We are. We really are.
So tell me about it.
Okay, so I'm using some notes here because there's some specifics here.
Okay.
With this bias, we notice,
okay,
we search for, we interpret, we favor, and we remember information that we already believe or value. Okay? It's also called the myside bias.
I like that one. We like my side.
We like our side, right?
We
like stuff that agrees with our side. We like people that are on our side. Okay, so confirmation that helps claim it or describe it. The other side of the my side bias is that we also discount, dismiss, or ignore what disagrees with what we value.
Oh, hell yes.
Okay, it is so human, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it is so unconscious. So let's just go back a little bit. We notice. So this is a simple example is when we're looking for a particular car, right? We're getting close to making a decision on a car, and we say, I want that particular make and model, and all of a sudden, everywhere we look, we see them.
True.
Okay, that's the notice part. There's not any more of them on the road than there were the day before we decided we wanted that car. They didn't just suddenly appear. Right?
Okay.
But we're tuned, we notice. Okay.
All right.
When we're looking for information, we will tend to search for. Again, it's very close to this notice, but we'll spend a little more effort looking for stuff that agrees with what we excuse me, with what we believe or value than information that disagrees. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally natural. Again, interpreting. When we see information that it's basically neutral information, and there's a bunch of research that's been done on this. Like you believe one thing, I believe the opposite. We both see the same thing. We're like, in the videos, the PBS special, the Hacking Your Mind, right? They
if you haven't watched it, watch it.
They did the thing with the kids where young kids, they had them put on a T-shirt of either green or orange, and then they showed them a picture of two with just a scene, and they interpreted that scene differently based on the color of the T-shirt that the kids in the picture were wearing. And they favored the same color T-shirt.
And then so what they did with the next kid is they switched T-shirts, obviously, but they also switched the color on the
scene that they showed, right?
And the kid did the same thing.
So one of the examples was there was a child sitting on the ground crying and another child standing up next to them, and that scene was interpreted as to whether the child that was standing was being helpful and trying to help them get up, or that child had caused them to be on the ground crying.
Yeah.
And that's
all based on T-shirt. The whole thing.
The only information they had was the color of the T-shirts and the picture. So that's the favoring part of it, and interpreting really. Favoring would be we're given maybe 3 pieces of information. We're going to pick the one that agrees with what we believe and leave the rest alone. And then recalling, it also works for memory. So we might see several different things, but we remember the parts that agree with what we already found important or valuable.
We like it.
We are we're imperfect. There's no question around it. Okay, so there's a famous quote that really encapsulates this particular confirmation bias. This bias is a cognitive bias, not a a social bias. In other words, it's not about a particular type of person or characteristic of a person. It is it's about how we think and how we process information. So that word bias has different meanings in our society. So I want to be sure to cover that.
Right.
But the famous quote is, "We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are." Just really puts a pin on that.
That's pretty cool.
I consider it, and I believe my research, I believe that my research confirmed this, is that this confirmation bias is a reality distortion process. So
try that one again.
Reality distortion. We see things, but we see them through a filter of what we believe or value rather than just as they are.
Oh, got it.
Okay. So I've mentioned the Hacking Your Mind PBS series. We did previously a review summary of that 4-part series, and I'll put a link to that in the description, so you can go watch that.
It is fascinating.
Little playlist if you'd like.
It's a little scary.
So some examples of how this gets used that came up. There's a lot of research that's been done, and I'll refer you to the Wikipedia article about confirmation bias, because it is by far the most lengthy and thorough treatment that I found. There are 3 that I'll make sure I put in the links. So wording of questions, such as surveys. So there's.
We're good, right? We're good, right?
I think
give us 5 part. Yeah, we're good.
I think we recognize, we've all, been asked to take a survey, and you've probably seen questions that were worded so that it was hard to give an answer, a negative answer.
Yeah.
Or in the case of this confirmation bias, they can ask a question in the positive or negative. Like if you're pro something, they're going to get more positive responses by asking a question that is in the positive. Like, do you believe this, or do you like this, rather than do you dislike this?
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Because the dislike is disagreement with what you believe.
Right.
And so it comes out, they can control, or highly influence the result of a survey by the way the question is worded.
We figured that out when, unless you can give us a 5.
We don't want to talk to you.
We don't want to talk to you. Just.
What can we do?
Yeah.
And we've already mentioned that, in our discussion here, 2 people shown the same exact piece of evidence, like the little children in the showing the picture, come to opposite conclusions based on.
And as young as 3.
And going back to the questions for just a minute, there's another. This kind of brings in other cognitive biases, but there's this primacy. There's a primacy effect, or something that you've previously seen. So they can set up a question by telling you a little story and saying, this happened and this other thing happened, and then ask a question, and because of the little story they told you, it influences your answer to the question.
Sure.
Again, we'll go too long if I go into a detailed explanation here, but the Wikipedia article gave a couple great examples.
Because that is pretty cool.
Great examples. So how do we avoid this? Well, slow down. That's the answer for almost all the cognitive biases, because they are, unconscious, semi-conscious. We don't think, we're on autopilot. We're on autopilot when we're using these, and we're not. It's not fully conscious that we do these things.
And I'm so good at that. You could tell.
We're all good at it.
I love slowing down.
We're all good at it, at being on autopilot, because it's how we survived. But the intending to slow down, recognizing, okay, this is important. This is worthy of thinking a little slower and spending a little more time. That's basically, it's a choice. And then looking at the other side of things. So a question that was suggested was, what would I see if I was wrong?
Now that's a pretty cool question.
I think so.
That is probably one of the better questions that we've ever
because
done.
It's not a situation where someone else is challenging us or judging us that causes us to become defensive. Right. We're asking ourselves.
Right.
What would it be? What would it look like? What would I see here if I was wrong? So it's very close to question your assumptions. Okay. That's kind of a really just great tool in our tool belt. Of mental models, actually, that would fall under the question your assumptions is a mental model. It's that little short framework of how we can make better choices.
Cool.
So
What else?
to just refer back to, because we're doing this series based on the work that a guy named Buster Benson did, which I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And he identified 3, he calls them conundrums that we face, which is there's too much information. Because there's too much information, we have to filter. Mm-hmm. Then there's not enough meaning, which means after we've filtered and ignored a lot of information, then we don't have enough information to really derive full meaning, and so then we fill in the gaps with stuff we make up. This happens, and then the last thing is the last thing is not enough time. So we've got to move, right? Yeah. In life, we've got to move. We literally don't have time to think through everything thoroughly. Yeah. And that's where the autopilot evolved. So we do have these situations where we need to act quickly to duck or run in the case of danger. But in this cognitive bias actually falls in that category of not enough time. And then he further broke it down into different strategies, and the strategy that this one applies to is that we protect our existing beliefs. So that's a way that we save time. It's a time saver. So really simple stuff, really far-reaching, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and we look forward to seeing you in another
Quite fascinating
video.
as usual.
Yes.
Good job.
Thanks. This was fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.